Josh, yeah, next week for Josh.
It's new because
I don't know much of everything.
of course.
Which is funny.
That's all. Yeah.
When you go there, so I.
Next week.
Yeah. When it starts.
Yeah. I'll do the golf part of it. You do the dirt part of it.
All right, if everybody will join us, say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Seeley.
Here.
Sarah Antonsen. Here. Pat Bickett.
Here.
Will Rolke.
Here.
Larry Rohr.
Here.
Art Schott.
Here.
Mike Tiedemann.
Here.
All right, thank you. Before I entertain a motion to accept the agenda, I would like to make a couple recommendations. First, I want to I want to add a recognition of Dr. Tommy Merriman as item 4.5 right after our minutes. And then we're going to slightly adjust the schedule so that we can push the first item of old business, which is considered the second reading of ordinance 2025-04, a zoning amendment for the city of Beresford. Push that to after we recognize Dr. Merriman. And then we'll hold that discussion, and then that way we can jump into the local board of equalization. So, and the local board of equalization is going to be a recess of city council, so we'll go from there. So,
Motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Second.
all right, motion second on the table to adopt the amended agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Agenda's been adopted. Minutes, March 3rd, 2025.
Move to adopt or accept the minutes from March 3rd, 2025. Second.
Motion is second on the table to approve the minutes from March 3rd, 2025. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, now we have to lead the meetings off with good stuff. So Dr. Merriman, if you'll join me up where the owl see us. So I think everybody knows the owl by now. We feel like we know yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah.
Good. Just like a few minutes ago. So
Yeah.
had to get a ribbon, but for those of you that don't know yet, Dr. Tommy Merriman has received an appointment as our next Beresford High School principal. And not only is that a momentous occasion, it's a momentous occasion because Dr. Merriman is from the city of Beresford. So, born and raised here, everybody knows Lonnie and Linda. And so, product of our community, great community. When he was in high school, he excelled at basketball and running. And if you know his offspring, you know that you can see that that carries forward. If you've seen Ella's shot, it's pretty phenomenal. So, pursued some education, ended up with a doctoral degree. He practiced in Canton for a little while, and then subsequent to his work there, he came back to Beresford. Since he's been in Beresford as a teacher here, he has excelled at both in instructing the arts, maintaining a presence in that community, not only with the school system, but also in the public's eye. He's an active supporter of our booster club, president of Rosini Church, I believe. Active with that booster club. And again, what we have here is we have an example of a person that's from the community, that's now invested in the community, and he's going to be here for some time. One of the things that we've seen most recently is that our high school principals there's been some rotation. And as you can all well imagine, when you want to try to put things in place, sometimes it takes time to decide, hey, what's the right thing to do? And then as you're putting it in place, it takes a couple of years, right? When we're being strategic like that. So the benefit to our community is we have a gentleman who's invested here. He's going to live here. He has children going to school here. And we believe that there's going to be some tremendous success that we expect to see. So one of the things that I always say when I bring people up and I recognize them, and that each one of the folks that I bring up and I recognize as an ambassador of our community, I think Dr. Merriman is absolutely an example of that. And I applaud that. I think that the partnership between the school system and the city of Beresford, you're going to see that flourish in the upcoming years. There are things that we can do to promote this community and make this community better. So, Sure, if you want to say a few words.
No, just thank you, Mayor, for recognizing that. And thank you, Council, for that partnership. The school has 4 pillars. We have the athletics and fine arts, and we have servant leadership, and then we have academics. And those 4 pillars are foundational to everything that we do in the school. and that partnership with the city is huge. I love inviting, people that come into my speech classroom to conduct mock interviews. We've done a lot of things with the Beresford Area Arts to partner with them. And so I just look forward to broadening that beyond the classroom and school-wide, and I look forward to ideas and things that we can do to make that better. So
Awesome. Yeah,
appreciate
thanks.
it.
Yeah, we look forward to your
absolutely.
success.
You bet.
Yeah, and if you see it. The young lady running through our community at a very high rate of speed with two Vislas, one old, one young.
Only one now.
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
Friday.
Oh, I didn't know.
No,
My
that's
condolences.
okay.
So,
There'll be two again, I'm
a
sure.
presence in the community, yeah, so, thanks for being here. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move along in the agenda. The next item will then be we're gonna jump to old business, and we're gonna consider the second reading of ordinance 2025-04, a zoning amendment to the city of Beresford. Most everybody that's here tonight, I recognize a lot of faces. I've talked to a lot of you in a couple of different forums, and so what we want to do tonight, so we've held the first reading just to identify what the ordinance says and what it means. We would like to hold a subsequent discussion. In the interest of time, please make sure that you've got your points connected. Let us know what they are. There will be some interaction where we'll clarify some things here and there. I know there have been some discussions with a few of you about some of the different things that I know we need to be able to acknowledge before any of this would move forward. But so the proposal on the table is to conduct the second reading. But before we do that, we want to make sure that we consider the questions that are on the table. So with that, I'll open up the floor and we'll go from there. Yes, ma'am.
The city sewer, the storm sewers,
I'm sorry,
the storm sewers in that area, have you reviewed it?
there's a current, so we are in the process of lining our sewer system. Part of that process is televising, and I'm not sure that it's occurred there.
You said storm sewer or sanitary?
Storm
sewer, we're not relining the storm sewer.
Okay, so sanitary sewers are being relined, so there's the process, we're visualizing those, and then we're lining those to add 25 to 50 years of life.
Nothing on storm sewers.
Nothing on the storm sewer, so. Other questions?
I guess I struggle with this, but I feel that have anybody ever considered putting twin homes for the pillars in our community for the senior citizens that don't want to move out of town, but want to move out of their house and stay here, because it's hard. Change is hard for seniors, and they would love to stay in their community if they could, you know. And I always thought if anybody ever would, if you decide to do maybe twin homes in that area at one level for the seniors in there. I love seniors. I like to see them stay here. They're the pillar of our community, and I think we owe them that. It's just a thought.
I do know as part of the new development on the north side of town, there are twin homes included there. Probably not as central to the community as what we're talking about here, right across from the elementary school, but there are some other units in the area that are either designated R2 or multifamily, and then some are single family with conditional use for twin homes. So because twin homes are classified slightly different than a multifamily unit. So for instance, Chris built some 8-plexes on the north side of town. Those are in a different category than what a twin home would be. So I know the last time when I spoke with Skylar, we asked during the meeting about the number of units, because I think when you look at the proposals, five with the driveways facing towards the west, correct? That we asked about 4, and when they conducted a financial analysis of what it's going to take in order for that to be financially feasible, that 5 was the right number. So I would think a twin home would be even a different scale of feasibility to look at.
Have you thought about the Willow in between those twin homes that are over on Willow Street? There's that lot that's available there.
I think that's for sale. I don't know who's selling that. The last time we held our last public hearing, there were a few realtors in the audience. They were nice to have as a resource, but I believe there's a for sale sign you're talking about in the maroon. Colony House Maroon area, yeah. There's a for sale sign in that one where there's a gap that kind of leads through where you can see the low spot behind it. So, and I don't know if it's feasible to build back there or not, but
And
I do
it's
know.
kind of a slew back in there a little bit. A lot of dirt that they brought in.
More dirt than what would be brought in over
They're
there.
very similar, but yeah, a lot of dirt.
Yeah, thanks.
And we're talking the one just north of the church. Yeah, and that doesn't have, we wouldn't have street access in it right now either. To look.
Right.
I guess I'd still like to know how you get 18 people signing a petition and one yes. Why even go through this process? When you don't listen to the 18 people that live in that neighborhood.
So when we hold the public hearings and we ask for questions and feedback, that is our way to listen. And I'm sorry if it doesn't feel like we're listening, but we're taking notes, we're recording the meeting.
To me, it should have never went past planning and zoning if it got voted down there. If you had 18 people.
Right, it was supported at planning and zoning, right? So they did understand that there was some public discontent with the proposal. But they're
So
trying
you're
to,
just gonna do what you wanna do anyway. Correct?
no, we're gonna conduct an analysis tonight. We're gonna listen to public feedback and then we're gonna vote. So in lieu of not listening,
Like I said, I'm not against it, having apartments in town.
Mhm.
It's just when you put it in a neighborhood that's been residential since Beresford was become a town. And all of a sudden you wanna stick apartments in amongst residential housing. I mean, Larry was on the right path. You typically, when you put them up, you put them in groups. I traveled to every town in South Dakota and you don't see apartments in the middle of residential housing.
just one block to
Where
the
is
north,
that?
there's a fourplex.
Is what?
One block to the north of where we're proposing the
That's been
rezone.
there since.
Yeah, but that's a fourplex, so,
It's one level.
right, but it's multifamily.
Has there been any conversation about a fence, privacy fence? About not leading out to the apartments, but just along the alleyway? Besides or anything?
There's not been a discussion really had.
Because the backyards would be on the east side.
Correct.
Yeah.
And in the renderings that you've got thus far, there's no fence, no wooden fence or metal fence or just a spot.
Everybody would have a small slab of concrete behind for their own grill or whatever that be. I know we got brought up prior about possibly putting almost like runways down the back to divide them up. We're not trying to have a bunch of dogs and animals in and out of these, so you know, to have a fenced in yard in that aspect's not really the right answer. But it's not something we discussed, anything across the back.
I'm sorry, are they gonna be allowed to have pets or dogs, cats, or?
I'm sure they will.
At this point, no.
My first
She doesn't.
Preference is no.
Well, couldn't.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because there was some question about, to alleviate any potential parking concerns, having parking in the back, but I think much in the same way that there would be parking concerns on the front end, there would be parking concerns in that alley as well, because it's not designed to be, you know, I think that's people's space that, so,
You know, people coming in and out there from the residents and that type of thing, and
Yeah.
music, basically.
you know, Skylar, one concern that was brought forward was water drainage. I know last time Tim was here, when you talked about the fill, the sheer amount of volume that would have to be brought in, we talked a little bit about how it would get there. Beyond that discussion and kind of what we've done, has there been any analysis of how we could improve drainage so that we know that it would end up in the storm sewer rather than the street?
So that's all gonna be brought up roughly 4 feet in that big sinkhole there, 10 to 12 inches above the street, so it push all that water out to the street. And then across the back, obviously push up with that back lawn. You know, the ground kind of eat that up a little bit. Just brought up level. right now it's a big sinkhole. So it's not really helping anybody.
One of the other concerns last time was related to safety and the increased amount of traffic. So I did run some analysis with the EMS image trends since I've been on the ambulance for the last 13 years. And was able to pull a report and show that there's been no pedestrians hurt in that area. And so I think that that's a something to consider. I know there was also talk about having housing for teachers. And as much as I also know that housing for older adults is sometimes challenging, we also have to consider the growth of our community. And I've lived here for 21 years and the population has not changed. And when I've talked to some other people, it's been 40 years and it's still 2,000 people. So we also have to find housing that's attractive for young families to be able to come in. And being close to the schools where they would be able to be within walking distance and stuff to those, as well as the consideration of bringing teachers into our community and have housing for them would be attractive for me, because I know it was challenging when we first decided to move to Beresford to find housing. Even at that point in time, it was pretty limited.
Do we, just offhand, does anybody know how many rentals are available in the community? Chris, I know your second one filled up, correct?
I'm full.
How much do people pay for rent?
900.
900.
How much is that?
Relatively small?
719 square feet.
Okay.
2-1,
Say that again.
2 bedrooms, 1 bath there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I know some people looked at the cost that we were considering, that you're proposing, 2,000. We do know that there's been a couple of places in Beresford that have recently rented for this same amount. And they're not new.
The apartment upstairs above the mixed plastics over here. Redesigned. That went for $2,000. There's a couple other houses in the area that have. Not saying it's gonna be exactly 2,000. Obviously, we need to get it built, see where the price is for and see what's gonna land at for rent. But yeah, we're proposing between 16 and 2.
Other questions, concerns?
You know how many people you guys have in the community, like volunteer firefighters and service members?
40 on the roster for firefighters, and our ambulance services 30.
I'm gonna say between 30 and 35.
Okay. In that deadline.
There's a huge fire right now off of 229, actually, that's why I got here a little bit late. The blaze is huge. So considering maybe, the effect of being able to house more people, community or service members, that also be a benefit too.
We've had more rotation on the fire service in the past couple of years than usual, but we usually lose 2 to 4 a year and gain 2 to 4 a year. But it's a 2 to 3 year process to go through fire school. So, yeah.
If you approve it, is it his trailer at all? And can he just turn around, sell it to Chris and he can go with another one of his units, or?
That's not why I'm here.
No. Honestly, I think his plans look nice. I don't want another little square box like a block north.
Yeah, and I
So
think,
I just didn't know how that works.
Yeah.
I mean, once it's rezoned, is it done and they can change their plans if they want?
I think he's bound to whatever we decide. Yeah. And I mean, there is language we could insert, whereby, if there's certain engineering mechanisms.
And that'll all be part of the building permit application.
Yeah,
process.
maybe this is after the fact, so maybe not specifically annotated tonight, but
But once it's zoned multifamily, they could change the plans and if it doesn't meet, or, what they're telling us right now, they could still build that. As long as planning and zoning says, yeah, it meets this proper setbacks, parking and all that stuff.
I will say I have multiple $1,000s tied up in blueprints, and we're already set through the bank to go, and that's why we want to get this going. We get building immediately here. That's actually why Slayton's here. He's gonna be taking it.
I like your plans and stuff. I'm just concerned if life happens
Yeah.
and,
We get it.
if something changes.
Yeah, so Skylar, this is you and Courtney, this is a fairly, you guys are jumping into this, jumping in the deep end of the pool. There has been at least one or two folks that have asked, you're relatively new by yourself. You've been with Ironclad before, and I think you've been in the industry for a while. What are the ways that do you have anybody that you're gonna partner with, team with, beyond your excavator or somebody that's gonna work on fill for construction, foundation?
So we are
Subs.
subbing out a lot of it. Obviously, I'm a small crew. I only got a couple guys. We're subbing out all concrete. We're subbing out all sheet rock, all plumbing, electrical, HVAC. I mean, a lot of it. Most I'm doing is framing it, siding it, roofing it. Everything else is sub. See. Yeah, I mean, we're on their timelines. We're on everything else. Obviously, we got it lined up. Again, that's why like Slayton's here. He wants to push it through. He also wants to work as well. But it's one of those things that we're just working through.
I mean, that's typical for a home construction even, is that, you've got whoever the builder is, he may not even have a crew, he subs everything out, so it's not unusual.
I'm actually up in Lake Madison right now, siding the house for a guy that doesn't look a hammer. He's strictly a general contractor, that's all he does. I don't want to be that guy.
Definitely have all the liability insurance and stuff like that, the
Yep, we are licensed, bonded, and insured.
requirements the bank will have to, and that type of thing.
Correct.
Is there any flexibility within the design or plan to, there's something I asked about 2 weeks ago, about some green space. So you got the driveway and then you've got concrete in front of the rest of it where literally you could have a strip of all cars. I mean, to bring where there may be a parking pad.
So we could bring, eliminate some parking in the front and add, a little bit of green space. And I'm not against that. The downfall of that is we're creating more parking issue. So now everybody's concerned about parking in the streets. That was the idea of putting the concrete all across the front, is we eliminate anybody parking in the street, we shut down that issue altogether. Because even if you put a green space in there, it's only going to be 10 feet, 12 feet at most. You can't park a car there.
Is there room to transfer that to a parking pad in the alley? Because I know there's garage access off that back.
We could add parking in the back. I prefer not to. All you're gonna have is people that own multiple vehicles that park back there. They're just gonna sit back there, and then you got everybody walking through everybody's yards.
Yep.
Trying to minimize that.
Or parking chief goals and blocking it. And
Yeah.
Correct.
get phone calls.
Yeah, so if we can keep it to the front, I think it keeps everybody happy. Happier.
Additional questions? Any clarifying points?
You mentioned your apartments are how much square feet
Each one of them is 719.
around, and what's your square feet?
Just shy of 1,400.
Oh, and then I'm sure above Ace Hardware is pretty big.
I'm sorry, say that again.
The apartment above Ace Hardware is
You mean
gigantic.
redesign?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Old days.
I wouldn't even compare that to one of yours space wise, I'm saying.
I'm sure, yes.
So, and then she made a comment about the teachers, but I talked to 2 or 3 teachers already. And they told me that they're not making anywhere near enough to pay 24 to 30,000 for the townhouses or the apartments or whatever you're gonna say, not unless you're the principal or superintendent or something, but the basic ones that start, they're not gonna be able to even afford that.
And that's, obviously we hope that they have families. I mean, my wife, for instance, she doesn't make anywhere near what I do.
Right.
So that's
Those are my points.
Well, they're 3-bedroom apartments too, so it's more geared towards either having a roommate or a family.
Correct.
Well, Sarah, any questions?
No,
Mike? Any additional questions, any clarifying points?
I just got one more. For, the people that signed that petition, I know it was about 18 or whatever there was. Is it possible to talk to them on why they signed it, what issue was important to them, or we're gonna get in trouble for going past our boundary?
You can certainly ask them. Yeah, nothing that prohibits you from asking why they objected.
Right. I kind of agree with, Jane made a comment because a couple of people talked to me and they were kind of upset because they said that they lived there and that's where, I don't want to have this thing end up in court more or less, but I mean, they were just wanting to know, if they sign something, does it really matter if they sign it or not? Or is the dividing point where their opinion matters?
And that's
Right.
that's what you guys get paid the big bucks to determine.
Right.
Yeah, what is that story?
So just to review the process, so this tonight's we're proposed second reading.
If the council wants to act, someone would have to make a motion. Either to approve or disapprove.
Okay.
I guess no action would be still out there, I guess, for a second reading if it gets put back on the agenda, but
only 2 readings are required.
the first reading is 2 weeks ago, so this, if the council voted tonight to approve, it would be adopted for rezoning. If the council voted against, it would be.
Or what about if we table it until we go talk to those 18 people?
A lot of them have already been here, Art.
Oh, that's.
Yeah, I mean, they're all have the same questions. Some of them can't make it, but some were at planning and zoning meetings too, so. Some didn't make it, most of them have been at one of our meetings, so.
Considering the concern in the area, have you had a chance just to visit with people about a project like this that they might, if there are some things about it that would be more comfortable in accepting?
You know, I haven't too much. There's not really anywhere in town to build anything like this. We feel that the city needs it. And that's just an ideal lot for the project, being so close to the schools. And I know some people say that that's not, that's the reason they don't want theirs, because so close to the schools. That's why we do want it there. We feel it's prime location.
With a fence, a privacy fence, talking more to the neighbors here, would that be something that's more palatable, so you don't, I mean, you'd still see the front of it, but not the back of it. It's been brought up numerous times, but, there was just the questions whether it would be in or not, but is that something, that makes it more, like I said, more palatable as neighbors?
I think the fence is great, we would love that. But the other thing is, I think the city actually built a parking lot across from the school on the other side where that like lot is, where they did gym. I think that would make people very happy in that area too. And then we've also got the water issue. That's the other big thing. So it's how to get the water out of there, how to get the snow out of there when it starts melting, and how to make sure that back by Tim and their house doesn't keep doing things with that much more.
I did approach the school district about building a parking lot on the north.
North corner. there.
Yeah, and they said they would not be in favor of that. It didn't seem like a final answer to me, but they understood the intent of the rezoning effort. But, and I said that would potentially be a mitigating strategy to alleviate some of the parking concern is pave that. And they said at this point, they weren't interested, but
They wouldn't even have to do the whole thing.
No.
Be part of it,
Yeah,
Get a dozen cars off.
there's obviously more people at the high school, but there's quite a bit of parking there now that the barn's gone.
right, there's more there. I mean, right now it's just used for gym class, right? That's-
Correct. And
That's good, but-
I can't think of anything else, but I know that cones in the grass are what I usually see.
Yeah. You got that driveway that's over on the west side on the school, by the school, that what's that doing? You got that paved between. You're on the west side of the school, there's that paved area there between that house and. that.
There's some parking back there, but I think it's tight, right by the
That's-
PRC building or the Watch Puppy building. Yeah, there's some parking, but it's relatively limited.
And that could become a green space. It's like. They don't have to cross the street. Not really used right now, but I know of when I see it.
Yeah, I think in lieu of putting Dr. Merriman on the spot as the official representative of the school district.
In that back lot where that is not gonna be very good for green space because that is used a lot by back access to that backside of the gym. The trash comes back there.
Okay.
That's the part we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
So that's kind of where that area is. So.
band instrument drop off plays.
And it's also a handicap accessible to the choir room because
Gotcha.
you can't go up the stairs on the stage. So they
Okay.
have to go outside and go through that choir room door there. So.
Are these three bedrooms?
Three bedrooms in that back.
So are you, let's say, 2,000 seems a lot to them, so they want a multi-family in there, are you going to allow like two families to live in?
No, not unless it's two, adults. We do not want multiple families in one unit.
Because to control who ends up in the apartments, I think to the question that you asked previously, if you're down to, you've got 4 rented, there's 1 left. There's 3 single guys that wanna, there are 3 roommates that wanna rent. Guys or gals, and very often 3 guys or gals in that age, working age, will have significant others. Obviously ordinances would help us with parking, but what other from a property man, have you thought through?
Yeah,
It's hard to keep boyfriends and girlfriends out of the house.
it is.
So,
Yeah.
I feel like 3 adults would be kind of max, 3, 4, we're not trying to have 6 adults in an apartment or not compromising unit, but it's kind of hard to keep them out if they are staying over and.
They're constantly on.
Yeah,
You have a copy of your lease agreement?
not yet, no.
Okay, that might be helpful with these guys so they can see how it's spelled out in there.
Well, we're waiting for this to get passed. So we can keep moving forward, so. But we will get that, yeah.
It's a good point.
Yes.
Tom, if, depending on how we lean tonight, and for the sake of the official activity tonight, we do have 2 council members that are going to recuse themselves from the vote because of association with groups that are managing the property and or agencies selling the property. So we have 4 council members left. Second reading and then formal adoption, same night or, yeah. So the 2 council members that are going to recuse themselves from the vote are Councilor Tiedemann and Councilor Anderson. That leaves Mr. Rolke, Mr. Bickett, Mr. Schott, and Mr. Rohr.
That would take all 4. That takes a majority of the entire council.
Will, Pat, Art, Larry?
I don't know, I recommend tabling it to get the lease and whatever you can do to get it, make sure it's right the first time. I'd rather get more information than less.
You personally?
Pardon?
You personally?
No, I mean the city itself, because I'm a council member, I recommend that we get as much information as possible.
Right, but there's been 2 weeks to gather information since the last council meeting.
Yeah, but now they need the lease thing and a couple other things.
But they're not gonna write a lease before they have permission to build.
Yeah, all this way was the comment that was made about how many people are gonna rent, so that's what I was interested in. And then there's 18 people that signed, I think that's. You gotta take that into consideration, what happens if you had a building like over where you were at and you voted against it like you did? Well, it was the same issue here. So I'm pretty concerned with 18 people.
Do you think the lease agreement is gonna be needed just for it to be rezoned initially, or rezoning after?
Well, it's just more information, you know, altogether.
Who's gonna go talk to these people?
Pardon?
Are you gonna go talk to those people?
I'll go to talk. You'd be surprised what I can do. I'll get a 4-inch binder and go and talk a couple hours a day. I mean, I think the very least we can do if somebody signs a petition is talk to them, because we had the same situation at Quality Park. And we had trucks over there and certain people lived over there and they were yelling and screaming, and I was a council, and then they told me to get in here. Which I did, but that was the same issue that's here. Now these same people are saying, okay, there's 18 that signed. Well, there's some people that signed over there too. And they got their way. They never built it by Quality Park because we're gonna put apartments over there. Now we're in the same boat, so what makes the difference here? I'd rather get as much information as I can before I voted. And then my other friend, which tried to get a 4-flat and set free, he was told no too because of parking. Raphael, so which one's yes and which one's no? I'd rather get as much information as I can before the yes comes in. If it's another week or two to me, doesn't matter to me. Give me their names and addresses. That's why I asked Tom, is it legal to do that, to go ask or inquire? That's what I'd want to do.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just wondered who was gonna do it.
Yeah, I just want to know their answer, why they signed it.
I feel like that's what the city council was for. I mean, isn't it? Like, isn't that why we've had 2 open forums where people could come and?
Well, some people don't want to come. Some people sign stuff and they're afraid to say anything.
Wouldn't that be their own fault? I mean, if the bus is going to the stop, if they can't wait for every passenger to get on the bus, something like, things that they're trying to accomplish.
Well, the other project was the same thing. We spent time and talked to them. I talked to them quite a bit, hours.
Have you also talked to people that said yes, that do like the idea and?
Well, listening to some of this. Well, there's one person, I believe, from California that maybe made a comment they didn't care. I believe that's what I was told. One of them, and then,
Roxy Johnson lives across the street.
yeah. So I'd rather walk the beat than find out.
I'm just saying for like, let's say like myself or one people out of town that would love to move in town, but the idea of certain houses that probably aren't in the best condition or newer, you know, or
I didn't talk to people out of town, but I'll tell you this right now, if you're gonna pay 22,000 plus another 300 to 500 utilities, you better be making a little bit more than 40,000-50,000 a year.
Where are you getting 22,000 from? Because that's not what he was talking about.
He said 16 to 2,000. He said towards the 2,000 mark because he had about $1 million or so mortgage.
Annual rent.
Right. Annual rent I'm talking.
Yeah.
And then the utilities, and then if you got the insurance for the billing. So if you're anywhere near over 2,000, you better be making a little bit more than 50,000. So I'm sure we got tons of jobs here, 50,000 lined up, right?
Or even just out of town. Like I said, my wife works at Sanford. I'm a subcontractor myself. I would love to get out of the house in Boston. You know, I drive from Sioux Falls to here. It's not a problem. I make good money. My wife makes good money.
Some people don't.
But that's what I was also asking, what about people that live, you know?
Well, give me your name. I'll go talk to you.
Tom Taylor, sir.
I mean, I'm not afraid to talk to the yes or the no.
Do we know who has the list with there was a list that I think Tim and his wife brought.
Yes.
Probably got it.
They got the list.
You know, to some degree, I think, you know, the council has a responsibility to make a decision, but it's really what the council can do is really limited here. And that's why I asked about, you know, if you reached out to people. I mean, there's a lot of neighbors that you're not friends with right now, you know, and the only reason that and the council can't do anything about that. Okay. I mean, to a degree, this is a real opportunity for the community. I don't think there's anybody in the room that's against not having more rental property. It's,
Right.
Is it the right property in the right place? And I think you've got a hell of a plan. I really do. And it's a type of rental property that is something new to the community. Okay. Is it in the right place? That's been hard for me. Okay. Because the part of town I live in, there's covenants and everything's got to look the same and be shaped the same and things like that. This is different. And I think there's a real opportunity for the community if a relationship to some degree can be made because your neighbors have concerns, but at the same time, I would think because you're looking at a project that is a relatively high-end project, that the more that it embraces its surroundings, the more opportunity you have for it to be successful. Yeah, and I have taken the tour to look at in 2 different communities where similar, this style of rental property is there. They are together because they do have a different look. And that's why I'm asking questions. If you feel that you can still be successful, if there's a way that you can do something to have it feel more like it's right in that area, okay? I think it will make your project more successful. It'll make your neighbors a lot more happy. The only other thing is probably Robert Frost, who said fences make good neighbors. So, I mean, and the council has no control over that. But I mean, I can sense there's a leadership opportunity here to, as if this project goes forward, to take it beyond that project itself. I don't know exactly how to do that, but I think there's an opportunity there that's going to be better for you and better for the folks in the blocks right around it.
So Larry, Art, I'm hearing that you would like to table the motion? Or in lieu of more.
Well, I mean, short of having anything within our ordinance that would direct that sort of thing, or say you need to amend your plan to do this or that. That's what I'm talking about. I don't know that we have that latitude.
You don't. It's either rezoned or not rezoned.
Yeah.
And then it's just a building permit question, whether he complies with, Rob asked the question that.
Do we
He
have
complies with setbacks and has proper plans.
And those are already in
That's
statute.
permitted. It's in our ordinances, yeah.
And there's nothing that we can do to add a stipulation to that if we.
Because it's not a conditional use permit for this. It's a permitted use for multi.
That's what I mean by the latitude that we have is pretty basic.
That's correct.
Would a conditional use give you the opportunity to specify some of those things instead of rezoning? Just leave it
Well,
rezoned R1 or
you can't. It's not even eligible for conditional use
Okay.
in single family.
That's what I was curious about.
Law school was 3 years.
Maybe have a possible voluntary agreement to maybe a rezoning, but maybe like a conditional use of the members making a decision based off of, the other X's and O's kind of being crossed, T's and I's being dotted in that nature, but the rezoning happens now as far as the building itself and how that goes. Get an agreement from them stating, okay, we'll do X, Y, and Z, even though it's not going to be probably in your covenants, but maybe something voluntary like an agreement.
In that space.
Yeah, that'll be after the fact. Yeah. This is, I think the only thing the council has is up or down. And encouragement to find a middle ground.
Are no covenants for that area. No. That's why we have done.
Well, thoughts?
No, I'd like to get this going and make a motion to take a vote. No, that's not like a motion.
Well,
To approve or disapprove.
I like to see go make a decision tonight, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Is there a proposed motion on the table? Approve, disapprove?
So what happens is if it is disapproved tonight, is it done? Or
Yeah, I mean, I think. I don't know what else he would do.
Well, I mean,
Could do, yeah.
if you take the official action tonight to approve or disapprove, and it's disapproved, then does that end?
Um,
Or,
hold up.
Even if it is approved, the homeowners have option.
Could be
Referral.
referred.
Yeah.
You guys, you understand the referral process, petition?
Because this is an ordinance change, so it would be subject to referendum.
This is, how many signatures would be required?
Is it 5% of
5% of the.
Like the mayor's signatures, but
Maybe like, is it 50 is the minimum
Can't remember.
or maximum? Yeah, it's a certain percentage of the registered voters.
it can be voted on the next election.
Ah,
So there pushes that out too forever.
Special.
Well, just a special. No, yeah. Mr. Mayor, I will move approval based on the good faith of our neighbors.
second,
Motion is second on the table to approve the rezoning effort with a specific annotation of meet neighbor demands. All right, further discussion? Yes,
What the demands, what are they?
I think some of the things that have been discussed here tonight.
Put a line here so that people know what it is. Like,
Well, there's really.
Tonight is simply approval or disapproval. I think if,
so that's where the 20 days come in, where we put our little list together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you ever decide how many people we need to do the deferral or the
referral,
petition?
we can work with you on the specific numbers.
Okay. And yeah,
It 5% of the current voting population.
You'll know by noon tomorrow.
I'm looking here. They got different requirements for different.
the 20 days,
After publication of the ordinance. Um, 5% of the registered voters. Based on the number of registered voters recorded by the county auditor on the second Tuesday in January in the year the petition is filed. So,
there's no,
what's that?
there's no maximum.
Any ordinance change doesn't become effective for 20 days after publication, so if it's published.
The 27th will be published.
So it'd be 20 days after the 27th, if it's approved, yeah.
So if you were going to refer, you would need to do within that time period?
Within the 20 days after the 27th, yeah.
Yeah.
Guess all that?
Yep.
Published 27th. We'll get the exact number, 5% of registered voters. Motion on the table to approve in a second. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
We're gonna roll call.
Roll call.
Roll call, please.
So Sarah is going to,
She's been recused.
Pat Pickett,
aye,
Will Rolke,
aye,
Larry Rohr.
Aye.
Art Schott
No,
and Mike, you were going to.
Motion fails. Next action.
I don't know what the next step would be. That might be able to do initiative, I would have to look at that. Yeah, they could initiate a proposed change to the ordinance, so. Could also go to a public vote. I gotta look and see how that would work in the.
We have a similar process or?
Similar
Same
process.
thing.
You shouldn't, I mean, whatever you're appealing the council or the decision of the council, so.
Yeah, initiate.
Initiated would be that they're proposing the ordinance. Which.
Which the ordinance would be
The
to
ordinance
change
would
to
be exactly
multifamily.
what was just.
Yeah.
And then in lieu of coming back to city council, that would be referred for a vote.
Yeah,
You guys hear that?
I don't know, I'd have to look and see if that's eligible.
So we'll conduct some analysis on what the language says and what our next actions are, but for the sake of tonight. Yeah. So
Do you wanna wait?
there's probably this one's more in depth than the other information that Mr. Freeberg was looking up, so.
Okay.
1 week from tonight. All right, any further questions?
Special meeting or something else?
If there's going to be anything else,
I wouldn't know.
yeah, if there's going to be anything else, we'll publish it through our normal channels, so you'd see something paper, web.
Okay.
Right. Thanks, everyone, for coming tonight. We appreciate your input. All right, we're gonna move along the agenda. So that was old business first item. We're gonna move back now to the local board of equalization. So I'll entertain a motion to recess city council, and then we'll initiate the board of equalization. I need a motion to recess.
so moved.
Second.
Motion and second on the table to recess city council for local board of equalization. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, city council is in recess. We will now convene the local board of equalization. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sealy,
Here.
Sarah Antonson, Pat Vickett.
Here.
Will Rolke,
Here.
Larry Rohr,
Here.
Art Schott,
Here.
Mike Tiedemann.
Here.
Dan Erickson.
Here.
All right, first, so thank you to school board for joining us. Appreciate that. Last year, I believe it was Deb who joined us, and so thanks for being here. 9 actions to work through tonight, and we're going to of those, so there was an email sent. Our finance officer did give us some specific instructions on the fact that we have already printed a book tonight, so we weren't going to print any more books. Everyone can pull that information up. And there was one just sent at 16:25 this afternoon, 4:25. And so there's individual files that are attached to the email from 4:25, if you guys have that. And our steadfast finance officer is giving us a cheat code here, but
So we would want to start with the 4th one.
so. Peterson Properties, I guess this corresponds to the gentleman named Christopher Peterson. Hello?
How are you guys?
Thanks, good, thanks for asking. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
I like the green.
I got green on.
There you go. Which one is this? Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Same kind of song and dance the last 3 years. This lot's tied up in pending litigation. I've seen nothing, no traction on my end from anybody spinning this thing forward. So same as last year and the year before last, I'd like to see, you know, kind of the city put up a dog in the fight to get this thing squashed or some type of resolution. So my recommendation is a full valuation of $1. You know, same thing as last year, as in the year before, if the city can't benefit from me putting rooftops over there to really make tax dollars, how should the city benefit it when the city can't defend the decision to let me keep building? What's the deal with the court?
It's in the hands of the insurance company.
Is it? So with that, I've reached out, Tom.
This has nothing to do with this, Chris. We're not gonna talk about litigation.
Okay.
So the assessed value.
$53,606.
Last year was 25.
Correct. And you guys made the recommendation last year, I'm just gonna pull everything up here to $1. And county went back and forth, and they said, let's set it at 25,000. And that was on both lots.
So we are on the north side of the tracks here, so we're talking, I see tracks, Highway 46, so we're talking Lincoln County.
Correct.
And I have received some information recently that their process and how they're going to handle these requests going forward is slightly different than our counterparts to the south.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, so on their, what she got me earlier tonight was, what the assessor came back at. And I cannot find it written on here, but it was talked about, they used the cost approach. Well, in their codified law, the 10.6.119, it says they must utilize the cost, the market, and the income approach. Well, they just took it upon themselves to forget about the other two, and they just used the cost approach because it's the same number they had the previous year. When they decided to take it from the 61,000, is that the same one we're on, down to 25,000. So that's really all I got, is to value the property at $1 until it's washed out, and we can keep building rooftops in this community.
I tend to agree with you. I'll make a motion to move it to that dollar amount, both lots. Can we do two at one time?
Just make 2 motions, please.
Okay, and for your other property as well.
I'll second that.
Motion and second on the table for both request number 1, which is item number 4 on our agenda, and item number 5, is that correct? Yes.
So how many lots you got total? 2?
2.
Okay.
Yep.
Further discussion?
I agree with Chris, the fact that it's no fault of his own that he can't build on there. This has been locked up for years, and so it's not his fault. And he would be paying property taxes on it, or he would have sold it by now, long ago.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor of motion number 1, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All those in favor of motion number 2 or item number 5 on the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so is that a one? Yep, thank you. Next item on the agenda. So that was 4 and 5. We're gonna move to 6, correct, Elaine? Is that Dennis Davidson?
Yes,
Okay.
she should be on Zoom, I believe. Yes, she's here.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us virtually. So tell us your story and about the property. 1000 East Side Plum.
Yep, on 210 West Oak, close to the school. So my father passed away in March 28th, almost a year ago. After his passing, we had to have an appraisal done. So I have a certified appraisal. You guys have that in hand. That shows that the appraised value, the certified appraisal shows 89,000. The tax assessed value from the county shows 128,971. So I am requesting that the assessment is adjusted down to the appraisal, 89,000. Any questions?
Union County also sent an email.
Okay.
Stating that it is a valid appeal, but the board still needs to act on it.
I move that we go to the assessed value. Appraised value.
Second.
Thank you.
Motion and second on the table to approve the appraised value. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining, appreciate it.
Yep.
Item number 7 on the agenda, Richard Hybertson. Hi.
I was gonna tell y'all, you should just get a keg of beer at St. Patrick's Day and get the neighbors and grab the babies and the old ladies and have them hash it out here, but that wasn't gonna work.
That's for them.
Well, my name is Bonnie Hybertson. I live at 410 North First Street. And my property is a little bit different because it's just one lot. And there's two homes on it. I do want you to know that, in looking at this, it was a non-owner occupied. And I have since completed an application for an owner occupied. Okay. These homes were moved in from the farm, like out in the country. And if I'm right, the house that I live in was actually Donna and Marlo Christensen's home that moved off their place. So there is no addition on it. I know the information that was given, it looks like it says an add. I don't know what that means, but there was no addition onto this home. Neither that house nor the house that is next door, where Richard's daughter lives, who is actually handicapped. So she's disabled, I should say. And if you look at the assessments that are giving, the taxes that have gone up, it was assessed at 48,000. And now our taxes went from $894 up to $3,900. So I think that's a little excessive. Based on the selling points in the community, I know we did it online, they're pushing me to Lenox, Harrisburg and things like that. But I want you to know that the house that we live in is not what you think. I do not have ductwork in my house. I have a parlor stove to heat my home. I don't have closets. So, and the same, and to get to my basement, I pick up a cellar door. So I don't have like a lot of construction or modeling and things like that to my home. Excuse me, I'm getting, so I do apologize, but, so I just want to say we need to reassess this. I think $3,900 for taxes is an excessive amount. And I don't agree with the price that they put on our home or the home that's next to us. Because the home next to us is not worth that either. This property is not platted. Again, it's just one big lot.
So what do you recommend?
I recommend lowering my assessment of my home. I know, like I said, I know they're basing it off of sales in our community, but some of the homes that they're comparing it to, I know that they probably did some remodels to it and everything.
Right.
I don't know what to assess my home at, but I don't think what they're assessing it, I think it's too high. I don't think the whole thing is worth that much.
So give us some type of bigger.
I say the house that I live in, I'd say maybe, I don't know, 49,000, 50,000. The house next door, I mean, 30. I mean, it's not worth that much because if somebody come in.
Or are you doing one?
It has to be both because we're assessing it.
I just got one question. If the person next door is handicapped, how far handicapped are they?
She works from home and she can get up in the house and everything like that. She just does, she's not mobile. She can't drive or anything like that.
Because I think, I believe, you might be able to correct me, Tom. If you're a certain amount of handicap, there is some laws that you can apply for some of the real estate tax, I believe.
But doesn't she have to be the homeowner?
Right. That's what I was asking.
And she's not the homeowner.
Oh, okay,
She's
all right.
not.
No, okay.
She's not.
Have both homes been on the property for some time?
Yes, they were moved in the like 1970s.
Oh, okay. I was looking at the tax history. Didn't know if that had changed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've been there for quite a while. I've lived there for 33 years.
So you're looking for 50 for the one, which I've been there. It's
Yeah.
it needs a little
Yeah.
work.
And it's not, I'm gonna tell you that the lot is not probably that big.
Right.
Because if you come up to the gravel road where those trees are on the north side, that's all the city property.
So do we have to do one or two at the same time, or what are we supposed to do?
It's all in one, so I'm not sure how that
One
works.
property.
So that's the why it's kind of a.
Well, if you're
a
talking
different
50 for
aspect,
the
you know, it's
one,
Just one big property.
if you're talking 50 for the one and 30 for the other, that would be 80,000.
Yeah.
So
Now they're saying it's 253, I think.
Shall I make a motion? For 50 and 30, which is 80,000. For the property based on what she testified to and based on the condition of the property.
That's just the structure.
The structures. I can testify, I've been there half a dozen times. It needs quite a bit of work.
Yes, it does.
Should there be consideration for the lot? I know that's listed separately.
I don't have the tax paper in front of me. What's the lot?
50,000, 49,950.
Now, when you say, can you clarify for me regarding the lot? You mean the whole ground, or you just mean that empty lot?
All, the whole
The
thing.
whole part.
The whole thing.
So what's it listed as? You've got a copy?
49,950.
Oh, so that would be another,
Yeah.
So
We'll
there's-
have that
it's
80,
listed
so
at
$140,000 total.
So it's from 2020, the total value of both together, structure and lot was 50. And then it was similar, 57 and 66, and from 22 to 23, it went from 66 to 216. Which is an inordinate jump. So Art, you've made a motion for 80 for the house.
I didn't know the property was connected to the house in the land, so I can
Did we get
modify my
did we
motion,
get a
right?
second, or? I don't think we
I
did.
think we should,
No.
it'd be cleaner if you finish this motion.
Okay.
And then made another motion for
Okay.
The land.
the land lot.
Did we get a second?
No,
second.
Motion is second on the table to approve the appraised value of the home,
To change the assessed value.
change the assessed value,
80,000 on the structure.
80,000 on the structure. Okay, further discussion on the structure. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so 80 for the structure, now to the lot. Which it hasn't been separated as a separate line item until just this year, and it's listed at 50.
Well,
I think it
actually,
was,
yeah, it has been.
Is it?
it's down below.
Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, NAD versus NAD dash. Okay. Okay.
Bonnie,
so
you want to explain the ownership?
Oh, yes. This was for Barbenford Hybertson's estate. And when they passed away, the estate went into, Sharon had part of it, Sharon Husterlid, and Richard has part of it. So it's co-owner and everything. So I just want you to understand that. So I'm speaking on behalf of her, or not her. I would love to speak on behalf of them, but Richard and Sharon.
So it was not owner occupied.
No, it was not until now.
recently. So I think that's why it's showing up a little bit differently for the lot.
And that I just did this Thursday, because they said that I had to get it in by Saturday. So I talked to the assessor's office and that's what they told me.
So if I'm reading this correctly, the assessed value in 2023 was 213 or 216. Then 249 and then 251 for this year. So I mean, that's a big bite.
That's a big jump.
But at the same time, at least from looking at these the way we did last year, I advocated that there was a reasonable slope and that Lincoln County seemed to be on a ski jump with some of these. And I think that reasonable slope would put this total compared going back to 2018 in that 125, 130 range.
So that you're recommending that motion?
Well, no, I'm just for the purpose of discussion, because you got to assess the value of the lot.
Right.
And the two combined together, so the structures are one thing, dirt is dirt, so when they're saying 49 on the land, is that in the ballpark of what you're thinking?
I don't know. I mean,
So what,
I did look at, there's a bunch of lots of that same size in that same area, and the land is assessed the same on every one of them.
In this 50 range?
Yep.
Okay.
They're all about 0.7 acres and they're right around 50.
I mean, if that were the case, this would come out to 129.
Right.
If
total, right?
for the total,
for the
staying with,
total.
accepting the valuation of the lot as it is.
Right.
so if we do not make a recommendation on the change in the lot, which would keep the total value at 129. So that seemed much more palatable than 251, 186.
Yeah,
I would make the motion to leave
leave
the
it.
lot
Okay.
as the assessed
Okay.
amount.
I move to leave the lot assessment as is.
Chat second.
Motion second on table to leave the lot value of 49,950 at present value. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, so total of 129, so much better than 250.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you
luck.
for coming. Okay. Next item on the agenda is this Fagan family. Did you miss it yet?
No, the way this works
Yeah.
is,
So when you come to talk and you want things, we,
Right, yes.
great to see you guys.
Great new chambers,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
No, Teresa Swagan, here for the third year in a row on our vacant lot. Yes, we did purchase in 2020.
19.
Well, we purchased the vacant lot in 2019 at $10,000. Nothing's been done to that lot since we purchased it. Nope, there's still no curb and gutter. As you guys know, it's a gravel road. There's no utilities within, even to the property lines, to be honest with you. We did purchase the lot right next door to it with the big black shop on it last year. And that's that they try to increase our property, our vacant lot value to the same value as our developed lot, I will call it, of 46,000 and some change. I guess we're just here today to ask that we bring it back down to the 22.5 that we had it at last year. We haven't done anything to it. The comparables that the county is giving you, some of those, as you can see in the pictures, have paved roads, curb and gutter, they have utilities. We have been quoted $20,000 to $30,000 to get utilities to that property. We don't have a formal appraisal because we aren't looking to sell. We don't want to sell that property, but we have talked with a realtor in the last couple of years and told us we'd be lucky to get 25 for the undeveloped lot as it states. So I guess we all feel, obviously just feel that the 46,000 is overstated. They are trying, I know what the county is doing. They're taking the lot right next door that we live on, that I feel is developed, and trying to develop and value it the same.
So how much money are you looking at?
We're just looking to keep it at the 22.5.
Shall I make a motion for 22.5 for the lot for Teresa as stated?
second,
Motion and second on the table to approve 22,500. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you
Have a great
guys,
night.
appreciate it.
Thanks. Right, next item on the agenda is item number 9, or file number 9. JCT LLC. We are talking about 1406 Cedar Street, Beresford, South Dakota.
And that'll be for me. And my wife, we own Burke Sports Bar and Grill, of course, and we got a 38% increase on the building this year. They've been trying to get this up for quite some time now. They feel that we should be probably on the upper echelon of buildings in Lincoln County, it appears. I put together a little cost sheet just kind of so you can compare what we pay in taxes, what some of the other buildings in town are assessed per square foot. And mine's a little bit better than a pole barn, but not much better. It's and they got me assessed at $118.14 a square foot. Paid almost $11,000 in taxes on that building by increasing the assessed value up to where it'll probably be pushing $14,000 for taxes on that. As you look down across the way, you can kind of see what some of the other people paying taxes there with much larger buildings built similar timeframes. Per square footage, obviously Union County is way behind as far as the costs go to build a building, but when I look at, see what they have to pay at the end of the year in taxes, that's also something that we look at.
So what are you recommending?
I like to have it at 600,000, which is still gonna leave it at $89.02 a square
Shall I make a
foot.
motion for Jerry's statement of 600,000 for the real estate tax?
It's the building only,
So the building.
the appraised value, or assessed value of the building only are, the
Okay,
land,
assessed,
I'm
okay.
not argue the land because they've already.
The assessed
everyone pays
value
the
of
same
the
on the
building
land, so,
for 600, right?
yes.
Second.
Motion is second on the table to approve recommendation for 600,000 for this commercial structure. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Do we need a separate motion on this, because the commercial lot, no change?
I didn't want, no, the lot's not changing.
No,
It's the same on all the ones around me, so that's fine.
If you can get 6.25, say thank you and run for the door.
Absolutely.
Right. That was item number 9 on the agenda. Now we're going to go to,
Number 1, 9 Mile SD.
now, Elaine, you let me know at the beginning of the meeting. These folks are not here.
They are not.
Okay.
No,
Which one are we on?
the number 1, it's called 9 Mile SD. This would be the former Starlight Plaza. And there is a stipulation that the, both parties, Lincoln County and have signed. We still need to move or, make a motion on it, but it is on the page of that file. Where they have both agreed, to the request.
I would move that it approve the stipulation request.
Shot second.
Motion second on the table to approve the stipulation request. Which is actually, looks like it's page 3.
3.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Number 2 on the agenda from Robert P. and Sharon M. Westerly.
This also has a stipulation. If you go to page 3. Both parties have signed off on it, but the board does need to make a motion to either agree with it or not.
Shall make a motion for a stipulation that stated, Elaine stated.
Second.
Motion second on the table to approve the stipulation for the property. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries. Next item is,
This is the same, resident, and they also have a stipulation from the county. And it is, on page 3 also.
Shall make a motion for a stipulation to be approved as Elaine stated.
Second.
motion is second on the table to approve the stipulation of the Westerly second request. Page 3 of your handout. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. That completes the 9 requests that we have in queue. Any further business for the Board of
So
Equalization?
you need to do line item 4, which is review and approve the assessment roll.
All right,
It's just,
on the agenda. Review and approve the assessment roll. Secrets.
Have a great night, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so
the assessment roll is that book in front of you that just has everybody's property.
see you guys. Thanks for coming.
Have a great night. Thank you.
All right, so by this time, everybody should have this committed to memory. It will be a test. Everybody approves the binder. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Shall make a motion to approve
Assessment roll.
assessment roll as Elaine Johnson stated.
Second.
Motion is second on the table to approve the Lincoln County Real Estate Assessment Roll.
And Union County.
And Lincoln and Union, hybrid county, hybrid city, 2 counties. Right. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Assessment roll slightly less tasty than net roll.
Then we have to adjourn.
Okay, any further business for the Board of Equalization? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second on the table to adjourn the Board of Equalization. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. No, Mr. Erickson relieved of his, is he good to go? Dan?
Unless he would like to stay.
Hear your report too.
All right, so we'll reconvene city council at 8:19. And we are at line item
Public hearing.
public hearing with not many public in attendance. So request to transfer retail off sale liquor license from Fiesta to Sunshine.
Do we need a motion?
Do.
We need a motion there?
Just first reading or, yeah.
No, this is
Okay.
the official.
That's right, we did, yeah.
Yep.
Shall I make a motion to transfer retail off-sale liquor license from Fiesta Foods 309 Northwest 13th Street to Sunshine Foods.
Second.
A motion and second on the table to approve the request to transfer the retail off-sale liquor license from Fiesta Foods to Sunshine Foods. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, liquor license has been transferred. Visitors to be heard. I see Mr. Carey, but sure, you've got some, I've seen, you see the size of our pack tonight?
It's pretty impressive.
I think there's something in there that's got your name on it, so. All right, real quick, I want to move through the committee and mayoral report. I have 3 items and I'm going to be as brief as I can, reasonably can. The regional wastewater feasibility study, there is a 1-pager that was included in the packet that discusses the effort. There is a group that is looking to understand the feasibility of constructing a regional wastewater system that would be headquartered near the Canton exit of I-29. On the map, it's included in the 1-pager. It shows the corridor that it would correspond to. So despite the fact that we have made significant upgrades to our capacity in the past few years, there is a chance that in the near future, 10, 15, 20 years, that we will need, if we continue to grow north and our industrial park takes on a big company, there would be the chance that we would need to plug in. If everyone agrees, we would like to spend $2,200.41 on a regional wastewater study. All the communities that are listed on the 1-pager, T. Harrisburg, Lenox, Worthing, Canton, are all paying an equal amount. The wastewater system is paying a higher amount, paying almost, I think, $14,000 as their portion of the wastewater study. And what this would do is this would give us an answer on whether or not we would be able to tap into their capacity in the future. We may be too far away from where they're intending to have their headquarters.
You need a motion?
Are we?
Where would it be located?
Canton exit. You know, the couple of businesses, you know, where the excavation has occurred recently?
Yeah.
Just to the north.
West side of the sale barn.
Yes, sir. Yep, 18. The north of 18, east of 29.
Yeah, that's the in Canton. I think that's just the connecting point, isn't it?
That they talked about.
It says the facility would be located in.
Yeah. Proposed facility near Canton, but an interchange at the 1829.
You need a motion, Tom? For 2,200 for a fee?
Yeah, you'd have to have.
Shall I make a motion? As the mayor stated, for the wastewater feasibility study in Lincoln County for the amount of
14 and
2214
29 cents.
29 cents.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion second on the table to authorize partnership with the regional wastewater feasibility study at a cost of $2,200, $2,214 and 29 cents. Any further discussion?
Where will that money come out of? Out of Pat's engineering fees, probably.
Well, since it has to do with wastewater,
Yeah.
I would
Fees on
recommend the sewer fund.
You need a motion?
I think Pat had one comment.
Yeah.
So I've had to look at it too, just to, I think you guys feel a little bit better if you kind of know what time, where we're at and.
Because thus far I've had one phone call with John Stearns and he talked about it early in the process, but again, this would be a $2,200 investment now for something we might not take advantage of. It's sort of along the lines of a rural water system.
Right.
I
guess my comment was just procedural, so I'm assuming that cost is based on all those communities going in. So if somebody drops out, the cost is gonna change. So if your motion is for that specific amount, you may just have to revisit it, but that was just
I can communicate with John tomorrow and I'll ask him that question. Because he was looking to have an answer by I believe the 29th of this month.
I would assume most would, because I think it'd be good information to have, like you said, even if you rule it out, at least you'll have that as an option as you're looking into the future.
This is a similar model to the Crooks, Tri-Valley area, kind of regional wastewater system that's been established there. That's now open or building.
The plant in Hartford is built, they're still trying to figure out the connection and the communities that might be built.
Go with this straight out and shorter.
All right, so motion and second on the table to authorize partnership with the regional wastewater study. At this cost, I'll clarify after the fact if there's going to be some change. If there's a change, we'll have to probably come back. So. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, so I will let John know. I will copy our administrator, finance officer, and tell him that we approved. Child care task force update, real briefly. I'm not gonna get into the, so who was it? Somebody looked at all the information. Mike?
Yeah, I had a chance to skim it.
So, there's approximately 30 slides in the presentation that I sent you by electronic mail tonight. And again, don't reply, I'll refrain from replying also, we don't violate public meeting laws, but, what it did is it did confirm that we do indeed have childcare need in our community that is currently unmet. It gave us a good feel for the ages of the children that would take advantage of this system. And it talked about the hours of a center. The way forward for Child Care Task Force involves submitting a grant application to the Community Foundation, of which I found out, Lane, I had sent you a question about being a 501c3. Mike McGill clarified 501c3 city or county as a city entity. Because of our tax exempt status, we can receive funds from the Community Foundation. I'm asking for community grant funds to help us develop and implement a strategic plan to enhance capacity in the Beresford community. The grant money, approximately $9,000, would be used to both confirm the elements of the strategic plan with all the major stakeholders. So there's about 25 members of the Child Care Task Force. And then it would begin to put that in motion as soon as May 2025. The short-term vision is to enhance the capacity of those that already have children that have licenses, i.e. Bright Beginnings and our in-home providers. The future state involves resourcing Bright Beginnings to expand their capacity and to, in the future, look for potentially either significantly renovating and or moving to a new site. Jerry suggested birds tonight, so. But, no, not yet. Once we're going to have the Child Care Task Force come to one of our May meetings and present their strategic plan. And then by that time, I should know if I have the Community Foundation grant funds available to help have this consulting company, which is called the Business of Child Care, help us put the plan in motion.
Do you anticipate your Community Foundation request to help for just the planning stage or with the consulting?
Planning and execution. So they would help us almost project manage the implementation of the plan.
And they would help cover those costs too?
Yeah.
Okay, don't do it too short.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of groundwork on this and somebody wants to pitch in,
yeah,
let's hire them.
Yeah, and I think because the funds would be used for two things, not only the enablement of the strategic plan, but also looking at our current providers and then providing them with tools to be more efficient in what they do. So.
And are you anticipating growth with the box development minus the new housing or apartments we were gonna put up?
And so when we look at total numbers, we had about 140 to 150 slots as recently as 5 years ago, and now we're down into about the 70 range. The hope would be to get us somewhere between 120 and 150.
Okay.
And so Dr. Merriman was here earlier. Some partnership, the school obviously maintains and before school and after school care. We would also look to them to potentially expand what they can do to be another source of care in the community. Because sometimes people don't need care from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., but they do need it before school and after school. And so that would augment some of the care.
Unless I think my only point, Eli, is that unless there's some magic around 9,000, that's kind of a target-rich environment. Make sure that that grant is going to cover what you need and maybe what you're not sure of yet.
Yeah. Right now, we're taking cues from a community in Minnesota, that a community of about 5,000 that took advantage of the services that were offered by this group, and they were able to build out. They were able to add quite a bit more capacity over about a 3-year period. The city of Brookings also had some loose connection with the business of healthcare as well. And they were on the receiving end of a Governor's Office of Economic Development grant whereby they built a $4.5 million new center. That wouldn't be in our 3 to 5 year plan, but maybe in the 5 to 10 year plan.
Yeah.
And then, of course, beyond just separate place or one building concept, partnership with the school district on what that would look like. So
you're looking for approval to apply for the grant?
Yes, if everyone agrees,
I'll make a motion for Child Care Task Force update to try to apply for the grant and take the council's advice that make sure you look at the numbers. You might have to apply for more.
Second.
Motion second on the table to approve application for a community foundation grant. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, I will furnish a copy in addition to the survey results tonight. As the grant is developed and further submitted, I'll make sure that the council has a copy of that. And then I will also push that out to the community through
School's gonna be looped in on that, Eli.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and
I think Dustin and Jared are probably involved in it anyway.
Yes, sir.
Maybe
Yeah.
Dr. Merriman too, but just
Yep. Dr. Dagan and I did speak not too long ago, and he saw, he's obviously been involved in a couple of things, so yes, yes, sir.
make sure we're involved so we can
Yeah.
do what we can.
Yes, sir. All right, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Next item on the agenda. A request to Officer Lass was going to attempt to join us tonight. He's on duty, but there's a fire on I-29, not north but south. We, in discussion, he proposed a revised noise nuisance ordinance related to barking dogs. Our chief of police did weigh in and say that few of the elements that are considered part of the revised language would be somewhat burdensome for his staff. So everybody's council packet, you should have an outlook message from Eli Seeley to Jerry Zimetz in reference to the barking dogs. It includes 4 chapters that define what the nuisance would look like, hours, exceptions, and enforcement. Mike's, I'm going to find his message real briefly here. They don't have time. His contention was they don't have time to sit outside of someone's house, to monitor. So some of the elements of this, so the 30 minutes. Okay. Mr. Shirk's message. Bullet points, section 1 states for a duration of 10 minutes, and it says continuous minutes. In the first bullet under paragraph 1, it says continuous. We would strike continuous. So it would be 10 or more minutes. The other second bullet point under section 1 states for intermittent episodes lasting a total of 30 minutes or more within a 3-hour period. Mr. Chief Shirk's contention is that this is unrealistic and needs to be scratched. This is again where he would have to have an officer actually at the residence. So we would strike the second bullet. He agrees with everything in sections 2, 3, and 4. And then his suggestion is initial fine set at $50, subsequent fines at $100. Third offense, responsible party would be cited in a court of law.
I think he didn't like the 2 or more separate households.
Oh,
I see, I guess maybe he said he can leave, but in the one instance, he's been alerted to one neighbor.
Yeah.
Works from home.
Yeah. Complaints from 2 or more separate households. Okay, so he wants to add a bullet to the first paragraph. Complaints for 2 or more separate household or direct observation. So he talked about a situation with Grayson, where most of his neighbors work during the day and they're away from their homes. The person who was making complaints works remotely from home and has to listen to his dogs. So the revised language would help us out.
So it would be
What's the
one household and direct observation,
It would be the revised
Just
language.
the direct observation.
what's that, or just the direct observation?
Yep.
Based on complaints of direct observation. Do we have to have more than one hearing if we change any of that stuff or?
Yeah, I mean, this is just discussion. We have to get it drafted into. a-
Yeah, I'd hit the stuff in draft to make sure we're
Two
good
readings.
before we'd even do, yeah, before we're the first reading, so.
That's just the guidance, I think, so.
So we struck the initially proposed second bullet of paragraph 1, we would now add a second bullet based on direct observation.
So at our next meeting, when we're looking at what you've written up, can we have the old ordinance too to compare the two together?
Yes, sir.
And that would be a first reading at that point?
One thing that I think, one useful exercise as part of this effort is that Grayson did go out and review several ordinances from other communities, and he found out there's a boilerplate. So I think this is good. We're adding a little bit more clarity. And so Mike seems to be in favor, Grayson's in favor as a dog owner and a police officer. So I'll draft revised language. I'll send to council. We'll have old and new ordinances to before and after, and then we'll bring it to the next council meeting that Mr. Rohr will chair because I'll be in wildland firefighter training.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
so
there's one comment I would have on item number 1, the hour of wine in an excessive, that's very subjective. What may be accepted, excessive to me may not be excessive to someone else.
excessive and continuous, you think there's subjective?
Continuous and repetitive, I think covers it.
Okay, so you would move to strike excessive, but retain continuous and repetitive.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Good with that? Okay, I'll type up language and I will propose to the next council meeting. All right, any further discussion? No action required there. All right, that completes my portion. We'll now move on to our finance officer.
So everybody should have
Thanks, Dan.
Have a great night. Thank you.
the February financials. Just a few items to discuss in regards to expenses in February. Bright Beginnings Daycare requested their subsidy of $5,000. There was a pay request from Gil Haugen for the clubhouse patio addition of $36,350. The street department purchased, budgeted a 2024 Chevy Silverado 2500 for $42,995. Mike in the electric department purchased 1350 kVA pad mount transformers for $49,985. Siteworks submitted a pay request for the wastewater treatment facility Sager system for $60,000. The police department purchased 2 compact speed light detection and ranging devices for $3,212. We purchased a 2-year warranty on the city sign from Pride Neon Signs for $1,450, and Twite Construction was paid $155,799 for the golf park shop construction.
Did we bring any money in?
There was nothing out of the ordinary that came in for revenue for the month of February. That's,
Nobody's signing checks.
yeah,
Property taxes are coming soon. but-
yes, April, May, we'll get the money in May.
Need a motion there? Shot make a motion for Elaine Johnson, Finance Officer's report for February 2025. Financial report, which she's doing a great job. Thank you.
Motion is second on the table to approve our financial report from February 2025. Any further discussion?
I'll just make a quick comment. Some of us were over at the golf club to talk about parking, and as they're getting to some of the final moves. And if you look at that project, I think you'll find that it probably surpasses what expectations you may have had already. Just by looking at it.
I was here today.
What's that? Yeah.
Yeah, I was here today. It looks really nice.
And if latitude in the future is needed, I know Ben has been approached that some events might include that space with access along the south wall. So, just commented, really, really nice. Yeah,
Money well spent.
well, opinions vary, but it looks great.
Yeah. Well, we needed a road, we needed stuff, so, I think it's good cause.
All right, motion second on the table to approve the February 2025 financial report. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. We'll reflect that as approved. Old business, we have conducted the second reading of ordinance 2025-04. We'll move on to the second item, old business, consider second reading of ordinance 2025-03, which is a supplemental appropriation ordinance.
This is pretty much housekeeping. It's the fire department sold the Hearst Jaws of Life rescue tool on Purple Wave. So this is money that came in that we are reimbursing the fire department. And so this is just showing our budget that we approved it.
Motion. I make a motion, consider second reading of ordinance 2025-03, supplement appropriations ordinance as Elaine Johnson stated.
Second. Motion is second on the table to approve the second reading of ordinance 2025-03 supplemental appropriation. Any further discussion?
Would have liked to have played with that before we got rid of it.
You still can.
It's still there.
Good. Come play with the new stuff, the battery powered stuff. It's much better,
All right.
much more torque. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. 7th Street Water and Sewer Extension Project, start the week of the 17th. Oh, they're up and running.
They're already done, yeah.
They're got a sign in my yard, which I'm perfectly happy with because it says road closed.
And that's just information for you.
Well, Jeff did that for me last year because it sometimes gets, people try to come through the south side of town and try to get to the school.
I was surprised that day I came to pick up Fulton. Saw 2 trucks driving down that road.
Well, Anderson Brothers and the guys that were helping with the construction project, they'd use that road a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Much to the chagrin of my neighbor. So it's projects in motion. This is wastewater. So this is storm sewer, wastewater. We already have electric, and this is running to the new consolidated maintenance shed.
There'll be a gravel drive over the top of this, right, Pat?
Yep. 10-foot wide little ground.
There is some regrading, I think, of some asphalt also.
On the north end where there was existing asphalt.
Yeah, so this where it's getting tore up around the dumpsters right now. Some of that will be replaced because that's where we have to take the lift station out of the event center. And so that'll be removed and that's gonna get tore up pretty good there, so. Well, they're not really tearing it up, but they're gonna replace a bunch of the asphalt that's already tore up from our other projects, so.
And then it'll loop the water line from in front of Mayor's house up to the school.
We eventually gonna start building some of the spots over there or no? I mean, we still got a little bit of land, don't we? At a later date.
Yes, but we'll see if we're around long enough to see it, all right?
Oh, cut it out. Think positive. Be nice. We
It's currently R2, it's R2 in that area, south of the football field.
It is.
But there's no lots, right? It's just open area, R2.
It's never been platted other than
Just one big lot.
It's currently owned by HRC, right? Isn't that currently owned by HRC? It is, yeah.
Yeah, I think part of the question tonight during some of the discussion was the availability of lots and housing, and I think that one does, but I don't think it's a tomorrow thing. I think it's a down the road strategic objective. To look at 7th Street and.
We've applied twice to get a grant, to pave that road and put everything in. They've got turned down every time, so. We'll have to go back again, and I don't know if it'll be a right away or not, but and it indicated that maybe if we have an existing path that has gravel on it, it'll give us a better chance of getting some dollars,
because it would be an improvement.
It would be an improvement on existing, and it does actually lead to the school, which is another thing that they look at, so. Not holding our breath, are we, on that one? But
no, it's a tough one.
There's not a lot of dollars available every year, and there are about 4 towns get it a year, and that's about it. So
And that almost needs to go in before we can consider trying to get a developer in there. Or would a developer?
The nice thing about it, once we get to this point, are we gonna have to tear all that other, if we put gravel down, will that be a good enough base to put asphalt down and curb and gutter?
I mean, it would depend on how much curb and gutter you wanted to put in, because generally you'd want to lower the whole street then if you put curb and gutter in. But I mean, to the point, Mike, maybe an option down the line is a TIF that would pay for some of the street along with that development. I mean, that depending on who the developer was and what they were building, there could be potential there.
Maybe on a master strategic plan, now that we're in the process of approving the TIF for the Bach development, if we think 5 to 10 years out, Bach, another TIF for a development or developments there and road together.
The limits on the value of what could be built out there is the only problem you're gonna run into there. You're gonna probably want some upscale housing in there, and these probably will be more of the starter homes.
Yeah, it's triangular shape, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
About 6.5 acres, and there's a drainage ditch that causes some issues out there, so.
the TIF strictly for housing is gonna impact school funding. Affordable housing does not, but if it's just, like Bridges housing isn't gonna qualify for a TIF. Qualifies for a TIF, but the school taxes will get spread amongst the rest of the community, would not probably be very popular.
That's usually a 20-year cycle.
Up to,
Okay.
more on that shortly.
Forward to that. You're doing a great job.
All right, that was 7th Street water, Sub Street water sewer. Nothing else specific to mention there, Jerry? No, okay.
Wait, I got one question. Can I ask a question? Because I got a couple calls the other day, Jerry, about the shelter that's in the park, because the garage is getting completed now. Didn't we kind of vote to eventually move that over to the new garage spot? On 7th Street, that garage they're building, there's that one shed that's over there next to the bandstand.
That's supposed to get tore down, right?
Yeah, right. That's what I thought we voted on, yeah.
Everything will be moved out from the existing buildings over there. Obviously, the one up by the band shell is gonna get tore down. There's not much value to that. And the metal building behind the baseball stadium there.
Oh, that's what I thought. That's what I told him.
The one we use primarily right now, there's some value to that, but it's up to you guys, whatever you want to do with that.
All right, thank you for.
Yeah, I think if the outside of that white building is cleaned up behind the baseball field, it may be fit for some storage. Of note, this summer, we will have an amateur baseball team playing in town. So, we haven't had one for
On the mountain, Thomas?
5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
So, there will be more use, there will be more opportunities for members of our community to go and watch high level baseball, so it's a good thing. Highest level baseball is gonna be 12U, but just saying.
So be careful.
I went to a lot of
Baseball high level.
Yeah.
It's a per capita thing.
Yeah. Right.
They asked me to play on the 50 and older team when I was 48. I was offended, but. All right, next line item on the agenda is clarification of selling surplus property through real estate broker.
I wanted to apologize. I think I misspoke last time. If you go through the real estate broker, you can accept any price. You don't have to get to the 90%. That's only if you do a sealed bid and it doesn't pass, then you've got to get at least 90%. But when you're going through a broker, you can accept any price. You just have to advertise that it's being sold, the price and the appraisal.
And we have a
That's why
final.
you had
You
that.
have final vote, always, yeah.
Oh,
That's why you haven't seen it for sale yet. We want to clarify that before we
Yeah, so,
pass that along, so.
Well, we can put those stipulations on it, right?
yeah, you still can. I think I had told you that you had to get 90% of the appraisal. You do not have to. But you do have to advertise so the public would have a chance to come and tell you you're doing it wrong, I suppose, would be the purpose for that, so.
Curiosity, does any part of our discussions of this qualify for executive session?
When you have offers, I suppose it would.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because we've kind of
Because there are no.
laid our strategy out here and so I'm just curious.
So you still have to publish the appraised amount.
Yeah,
So
that'll be our next step.
Thank you for the clarification, and then now,
Apologize for messing that up.
yeah, but the values again were what, 113, 149?
That's what our values were, and then we said 120, and I think 100 and.
Like that.
It's 155, well, I think it's 155, 560 or 560 or something like that.
And the twins are value, or the Irish twins, that was 149, I believe. So it meets comparables.
Did you find it?
It's in the minutes.
120 for 101 North Third and 156.5 for 103 North
There
Third.
you go.
Worth all of that with that safe.
Oh,
Yeah. Unless you take it out of the basement, unless you want to remove it.
There's one in the basement too. Oh, bird seas, what do you think? Hey, bird or something.
All right. Any additional discussion there? Otherwise, we will move into new business, considering bids for the Bach Residential Development Project. Good evening, sir.
Evening. Had a short meeting so far, huh?
Hey, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Been a lot of ground. Yeah, we cruised through those this year.
Well, I think we knew it was gonna be easier because just, we knew values didn't go up tremendously, but at
Yeah.
the same time, like, sure. At the same time, there's always gonna be, like, those lot things, those don't make any sense. Unimproved lots going up 200%.
Well, that's just the county trying to make up lost ground for.
thank you, sir.
Yeah, mine were very good.
Thanks, Matt.
So on the Bach Development Project, we had our bid opening last Thursday. And we're quite surprised with receiving 11 bids. I would say 11 very competitive bids. The low bid was submitted by Metro Construction, who has done some work in Beresford before, and then recently we've had a few projects with them in Madison, Parker, and a development project. All the documents they submitted appear to be in order. They were roughly $1 million under the estimate. You know, is probably an indicator of a little bit of calming of some of the high prices that we've seen the last couple of years. And just our general understanding that contractors are looking for work and you know, this does have completion date for this fall. And this price also includes the reconstruction or the upgrade of the Gun Club Road from the intersection of Third Street over to the entrance into the new ball field. So that's included in this $2.355 million figure. I've talked to Metro. They're happy with their bid, looking forward to getting started on the project. We have a few pieces of documentation that will need to be provided to South Dakota Housing to through this process, like the completed contract with Metro and some of their subcontractor agreements, but presuming you move forward with the project tonight, then those steps will start falling into place. Any questions on that or anything I glossed over?
I just got a question. You said you worked with them before and they're decent contractors.
Yep.
You trust them?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we've had good luck with them. They're, you know, bonded, licensed, insured.
And they're the cheapest bid or close to it?
They are the low bid. The next low bid, see if I can read my own paper here. The next low bid was Suka at $2,445,000. So roughly 100,000, a little less than $100,000 difference on 2.3 million.
But if we had to modify something, if there's an issue, we could still modify it, you know, to correct it if there is something.
Right, yeah, well, because it's a unit price contract, you know, there's flexibility to add things, take things away.
So you recommend
things. Our suggestion would be to go with Metro.
So when this is done, what's it gonna look, what are they putting in? Just a quick.
So this will be full utilities, full street, curb and gutter. Grade, first they're gonna go in and grade the whole area, the mass grading, build the detention pond, put in some of the drainage structures, put in the sanitary sewer, put in the water lines, put in the storm sewer. And then curb and gutter, streets, seed everything when it's done, so you'll have basically buildable lots in the complete area when this is done, along with the Gun Club Road being widened and paved as well.
And then Mike and electric guys are gonna do the electric, and so literally this fall. Turnkey.
Okay, so do, good fall.
Okay.
Past performance, I buy and build IT stuff, and I know we have a couple of different systems in place to evaluate past performance. Metros, their past performance is good on projects of similar scope and size. And obviously, you believe in them. How many active projects do they have going on right now with? They're not gonna overextend themselves by taking this one on?
Not according to them. According to them, they were looking for work, and that's why they were as aggressive as they were.
Okay.
So, and again, if you wanted to check references, I could ask them for some references and.
You mentioned the street, Third Street, is that the street two going past the cement company? Gonna be paved or only Third Street?
It's Gun Club Road.
So it would start at the corner of Third Street and the Gun Club Road by the existing ball field, and then go east on what's now, the gravel path. Out towards the substation.
Okay, just got one question. Is that gonna be for semi weight or just cars? Because we got the garbage trucks, which are pretty heavy, and the cement trucks. So if you put it, 3 inches, I don't know if that's gonna be enough for the weight.
The standard section we have is 12 inches of gravel and 4 inches of asphalt. And that particular area is a 40-foot wide street.
And that would be enough to hold the trucks a little bit?
That is curb and gutter. Yes, and
We'll still have that block immediately south of the Gun Club Road that's gravel now. That's not part of this project.
That's not part of this, right? There was some discussion of, that could be potentially added. It could be done by city forces. It could be done sometime later. And that's something for you folks to consider at some point.
Probably in partnership with Grant and of the other access points.
Yep.
Okay. But this doesn't include the Grant connection, Grant Street from Third?
Yes.
It does?
Yep. So this will connect Grant and Garfield into, past all that controversy that we had back when, but so that'll improve those two connecting points to Third Street, along with a new access point to the north that would connect to the Gun Club Road.
What do we do with the ones that are encroaching, the garages that are encroaching?
So based on our design and what we were able to do, from what our design shows, we should be able to build everything without having to really adjust any of that. They're just going to be encroaching from a setback standpoint. So that's probably a separate issue that can be dealt with.
We've talked about variances for those that have their own, they've got pits. Like we would give them a variance septic system, so we give them a variance until theirs dies, and when they die, like somebody just put a new one in, I can't remember which one, Brian and Penny, I think, bought a new one. Lonnie's is older, or maybe it's the other way around, but when their current system, their septic system goes kaput, they would tie in.
Yeah, and they're gonna want to, obviously, and that's what we're doing here too. We're providing that opportunity to them.
For the two garages that are right there, is a variance a process? Because I know Bob and Sharon had asked about that. Versus trying to physically move that structure, which may not take a move.
We'll just have to live with it if we choose to leave it in the right of way itself. I think these are in the right of way. They're definitely encroaching upon setbacks, but I think they're actually in the right of way. So if they ever go to sell that, I'm sure whoever's gonna tell them you can't have a piece of property that's in the public right of way, or else then we'd have to give them an encroachment easement, and we've done that. And alleyways in the past.
Yeah, we've done kind of like licenses to say, okay, this structure can remain. You can't add to it, you can't modify it. If it goes, stuff. Encroachment goes. We've had that
That's
happen.
probably the easiest way to do it.
Garages that go into alleys.
Yeah.
They get permission from the city to say, okay, it can stay as is, but you can't do anything with it.
But there's nothing as those structures you're talking about exist that would impede getting this work done.
That's what Pat's saying, it's
Okay,
gonna be
yeah.
outside the work area.
I mean, it'll become a little impractical for them because there'll be no driveway left to these garages. I mean, they're gonna be so close to the curb, but from a grade perspective, they should still be accessible and not, not be forced to be removed at this point in order to build the project.
We'll have some latitude to work with them.
Right, that's what I want to.
It might be a garden shed as opposed to a
Right.
garage.
What about streetlights? Do our guys put those up?
We don't normally would, yeah, so they're gonna have that.
And
So
fiber?
that'll be another one that we'll probably add into TIF at the end.
And fiber? Are we're
We'll
pulling
put that
that
in, yeah, we can't TIF that one that we talked to.
Austin
That's
doesn't,
not a good cost for us to TIF.
he gets to include that in his access funds that he gets through the
Okay.
pools funds through the feds, so. Yeah. You wanna talk about the TIF while we're doing this, Mr. Mayor? 'Cause it kind of ties in together.
They are inextricably related. Yeah,
And planning and zoning met this evening at 6 o'clock and voted to approve the TIF plan, and just so everyone's recollection and familiarity with this, the TIF plan is to use borrowed funds, which First Dakota has is working on at this point, to pay for the infrastructure costs along with the grant from the South Dakota Housing. And then to use the sale of lots and the property taxes that will be incurred by the new homes as those are built, will repay the loan to from First Dakota. In the TIF plan that you've got anticipated the cost based upon the engineer's estimates. The bids came in less, so likelihood is that this will be paid off quicker than anticipated. It's all contingent though, of course, on lot sales and assessed values, which you don't have any assurances of those, but it does look like, as opposed to a 15 to 20 year TIF, probably looking at 10 to 15 and getting the First Dakota repaid, which would allow more time to get the city fully reimbursed for their land acquisition costs and the electrical upgrades that the city will front the money for. We talked with Mike Hanson on that, and that's the electric department will be putting in that electric infrastructure, and then those costs will be added in on the back end, just to make sure there's adequate funds to take care of the First Dakota portion of it.
So in this arrangement, 100% of proceeds go to paying off that loan until it's satisfied?
Lot sale proceeds?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It wouldn't have worked just on taxes, so so, and I think we had $40,000 price built
That's what we
in.
said in there, yeah.
That was probably realistic than what a lot's gonna cost, but again, this housing has to be within the South Dakota housing guidelines for affordable, which I think is what, 385 right now in Lincoln County.
That's total lot and.
That's lot and structure, so the initial cost has to be kept within that range, so that'll be up to city to make sure when building permits are issued, but they're within those parameters.
Do they review those annually, that range?
You do. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That range goes up annually.
Okay.
Typically, it goes up annually. Whatever South Dakota housing sets is a first time home buyer limit.
They don't ignore it for 5 years.
No, it's adjusted annually.
Okay.
Hard to believe that 385,000 is a starter home.
Well, considering things, would they review it weekly?
do we know that if the $1 million plus South Dakota housing grant, is that a fixed amount or is that a percentage based grant?
I'm not sure, Pat, I would be kind of that too, and I'm not sure.
I mean, just from what I read, it appears to be the amount, but
Right.
I don't.
We'll have to work with, sorry.
Yeah, she's still there, yeah,
Oh.
she's a long time.
Yeah, I just saw her tonight. She was in Viber.
Oh, okay.
She brought her with.
Right? I asked her, she declined, but.
Next time.
So it looked like we get all of it, but.
Yeah, Lynn keeps stealing over to go to business finance. But, hopefully we can keep all those grant funds, which, you know, that really makes this a much more affordable project with the favorable bids that come in, so.
Are the lot amounts set?
No,
No,
Okay,
no, that's not, we had to put something in there.
Okay.
Based on the 6.5% interest, and we had a little higher number for the infrastructure cost, about 400,000, so maybe we can pass some of that along too. I'd rather get the houses out there and people living in them, I guess,
Yeah.
at a lower rate, if we
Yes,
could.
and I'm guessing some lots are gonna be more desirable than others out there.
Absolutely.
So,
and there are some twin home lots built into the plan.
Right.
We have talked to a developer that does a lot of this type of housing. In many communities around here, and he's got some interest in doing some stuff, so we'll see if he steps up and does a few of these spec homes. And I think some of the other guys in town might have talked about it too, so.
Yeah, I mean, when the development is basically all done, that really makes it attractive for them to just go in and.
Yeah.
They don't have infrastructure concerns.
right.
Take a basement and get going.
Do you need action on the bid and or the TIF request?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to have that discussion as you're considering the bids. I see it's later on the agenda, but at this point, it would be approving the Metro construction bid on the project.
I mean, a modified, motion or what? I mean,
Oh, you need a motion to approve the recommended low bidder of Metro.
we did. I did.
I don't think there was a
No.
motion, was there?
We shall make a motion. Okay, sorry, we shall make a motion. For low bid, as Banner stated. For the Bach residential development project.
$2,355,000 and $79.26 to Metro Construction.
As the mayor stated.
Second.
Motion second on the table to accept the bid from Metro Construction at $2,355,079.26. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And when will we get the contracts on that one?
So we should be able to send the documents to Metro this week. And then as soon as they can get them turned around, get their bonds, insurance, signatures.
Thank you, doing a great job.
No, project. Otherwise, it wouldn't be. I'm just worried about the grant.
What was our target, was May 15th?
Yeah, I think
They have that paperwork
Seeing IT space. Well, if you've ever been on.
That's still.
I can tell. If you ever heard of CNMI. Capability, George now.
I think what. So the difference between 32.5 and 32.5.
Designated
So.
as-
You got a mile on
Sure.
that.
It's kind of out of whack with some of the other budgets.
Right. No, I'm not aware
Federal
of
mulching.
that.
I mean, it is a look.
Way below that.
Yeah, I mean.
Either logic, no problem.
Life River is huge operation.
Yeah. So then last Tuesday, we opened bids for the paving of the ball field parking lot. And again, had a good turnout with 7 bids, submitted. Merlin Royce Paving was the low bid on that one. They called me today to check on the status of the project. Again, they're comfortable with their bids, looking forward to working on the project. As you can see, the low 2 were very close together and the low 3 weren't that far apart. Quite a bit under our estimate, again, just with I think the advantage that you have here. And I think this was primarily Mike's idea, I believe, was getting this out early and trying to get the construction done early. What that means is, a lot of times these asphalt pavers, their work happens in the fall when all the construction gets done and the utilities are in the ground. Well, this is a job they can do this spring. And so it does have a May 31 substantial completion. So, they would get in there. I would assume very soon, once we can get the contracts turned around and everything approved.
get this project wrapped up fairly quickly.
Or how much?
$134,420.
What was your,
186,250.
that's what you guys thought it was gonna be?
Yep.
Wow.
And the main difference, one of the main differences was just the price of the asphalt. I mean, what we were seeing last year was around $150 a ton. Merlin Royce came in at 110. You can see as you look across the numbers there, you know, there's some that are up to 160. But the 110 was both Merlin Royce and Blacktop were right in that range of $110 a ton.
Do they have their own plant, Merlin Roy?
Yes. Is that, I'm trying to think who bought them out. If it's
LG
Edwards here, yeah, LG Edwards. There you go.
Have you worked with them before?
Yep.
420?
Yeah, they've been around forever. I mean, obviously they have some new ownership, but I think as far as their operations and things, they're a well-respected company in the Sioux Falls area. I guess just for comparison, you know, looking at Metro's bid for the Bach development, they actually used Merlin Royce on that as their subcontractor, and their price on that was $106. So they're very close together on what they bid between the two projects.
So you recommend the 134, 420?
Yep, the low bid award to Merlin Royce paving.
Shall I make a motion for baseball parking lot paving project as banner stated, 134, 420?
Second.
Motion and second on the table to accept the low bid from Merlin Royce Paving Incorporated at total cost of $134,420.00.
I just have one question.
Mm-hmm.
Is this budgeted somewhere?
I was gonna, we just.
We borrowed $3 million and we're running up on that. So you'll probably, as we get over that, you guys will be adjusting some budgets, but looking good so far. I mean, this definitely helped. Initially, we had 75,000 in there because we were gonna try to do it ourselves, and that's where we're gonna run over, I'm afraid, so.
Okay. Well, I got a question. With this new Bach development, they were gonna be putting asphalt down up to the
Old 77.
Actually, just to this ball field entranceway is where that.
That's where it'll end.
That's where it'll end, yep.
Okay, well, what would it cost to go from there to 77 all the way, pave that whole road?
We could sure look into that. I mean, I'm assuming you'd want to have curb and gutter.
Yeah.
And the full street width. I mean, that's something we could certainly calculate based on the Metro's bid and get you that
The
information.
reason why I'm saying is, and I've brought this up before. I just think we're, you know, until that whole street is paved, I don't know why we're bothering, you know, putting asphalt in there in the baseball diamond. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I'd rather see a completed road first before we spent $134,000. I mean, the parking lot is, we're able to use it as is now, right? It's.
My experience with people on a gravel parking lot is that it's designed for 110. You're gonna get about 60 cars in there. By the time they don't know how to park, you're gonna have everybody. So in order to have enough parking spaces set up, this way we'll line it up with the asphalt. I mean, could we do something in the gravel? I'm sure we could probably try to throw something out there, but I mean, it's gonna blend in a lot better with what we're doing up there, I think, and finish that off.
I guess to the point you made earlier, Jerry, I mean, that this 134,000, it does include pavement markings. So it's marking out the parking spots. It includes handicap signage. So, you know, that's above and beyond what you were considering for your staff to do as well.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Jerry because the last year or two, you could see a lot of burnouts, those kids and everything else. So I'd rather have it paved. Less stuff, less dirt.
But Will, you're saying that you think that we need to go from 277 and then if we're gonna go 277, do we need to take the intersection of Old Gun Club Road and Third Street and go to where the pavement stops?
Finish it out to 77, I think is what he's saying.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if we're gonna do one, do we not explore the other as a separate
We could get a bid.
Because we're under bid, right? We're,
Third Street, you mean?
yeah, Third Street. So from the corner to,
Probably can't include that in the tip though.
because that's existing
Financing.
structure.
So they would have to come out and say, we'll do it, but the tip can't cover that.
So as perhaps Will, as a next phase, what we do is we look at extending beyond where it's going to go to now. So both what's going to be built by the development project and the ball parking lot, baseball parking lot project. We look to go east to 77, and then we look, is that one going to qualify for association with TIF? Because it will be an entry point.
So from Third Street to Gun,
77 to Gun Club Road. So like cement, right in front of the cement factory.
that would not.
No, it wasn't not.
Yeah.
Is it a proximity thing? Is it a just?
You develop the boundary for the TIF, right? So that's
Yeah.
probably outside of the boundary technically.
Yeah, I guess we could look at amending the TIF plan down the road if we get estimates that would, but it would have to serve the TIF. I suppose it could be considered as different access point from the.
I just think a lot of people working on the north side of, if anybody's working in Sioux Falls, they're gonna go out of that development to Old 77 and north.
A lot of people do now.
Yeah, right.
Would, by extending, I mean, that's a double benefit, what Will's talking about, I mean, for the box, but would that present some financial liability to property owners either side of that?
You would probably, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the curb and gutter part. Right.
But I think they always knew we were gonna improve the roads anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe we present that.
Yeah, I think we have quite a few different gravel roads in town that eventually, in the interest of looking forward in the community, we want to eventually pave those. At the same time, we don't want to, we know that a homeowner's got the 80 feet on the front edge of their property.
Well, I think
Knowing the cost of curb and gutter.
put an estimate together, because you should have all quantities and.
Yeah, curb and gutter and asphalt.
We've already got water out, all the way out there, but the sewer does end right kind of, by the, substation, just past the substation.
Okay.
So we'd have to run sewer in order to get it out to Old 77. But eventually we'd want to go underneath that if we ever develop on the other side of 77. That'll be your main flow line in from there, so. But I think if we had a number there we could put together, then we can do some talking to the cement plant also.
Sure. Yeah, probably makes sense. We'll look at that.
Yeah.
Now's the time to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was always gonna be in the plan anyway.
Yeah.
I know what it would be, yeah.
So any further discussion?
Well, it wouldn't hurt to get a bid, see if you can get a 2-year, they're gonna honor for 2 years. We can get it for $106 a ton. I mean, come on, we're trying to give them work.
Right.
So tell me, you get the bid now and we'll honor it for 2 years. See what we can do.
Chicago, Art, we got rules.
Now what?
This isn't Chicago, we have rules.
I know, but you can still have rules, just extend it for 2 years.
Right.
You can do it legally.
They might owe us money at the end.
Right.
Locking them down work for extra year.
There you go. Keep it positive. You gotta think positive.
I think about that.
All right, any further discussion on the motion on the table? All right, so motion and second on the table to accept the Merles and Roy paving bid of 134,420. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 2024 Beresford Public Library Annual Survey.
All right, here on the library board, you guys got any comments on that?
No, I just wanna, thank the city for every penny they do to help the library, and Jane's impeccable. I talked to her today and she always talks highly of you and Elaine and every bit of help they can get. And, I really appreciate everything you're doing for the library because it helps the school, the movies. Now they got exercise there on Monday and Thursdays. They got some nutritious programs there too. Hey, have a great night, Banner. Thank you, sir. So I think it's an asset for the city and I really appreciate everything that you do for, the library and the people there, seniors and kids and movies. And I'm honored to be on the board.
I don't know that we need a motion, but I think if some of them can make a motion to recognize that we gotta just accept it, and then we'll put that in the minutes. Jane does a good job there. I didn't read through it completely, but
I did.
did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Shall I make a motion for 2024 Beresford Public Library Annual Survey.
Second. A motion and second on the table to approve the 2024 Beresford Public Library Annual Survey. Any further discussion?
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Let it be reflected that the survey is approved. Next item on the agenda, 2024 annual report for review and approval.
So every year, the city is required to do what's called an annual report. So this would be what ELO CPAs put together for us. And so we just need to have it approved so I can get it sent off to the state.
Shall I make a motion for 2024 annual report for review and approval as Elaine Johnson stated?
Second. A motion and second on the table to approve the 2024 annual report, financial report. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Approved. We talked about the Bach TIF. Do we need to?
We would need to include it in the packet was the plan that's required by statute to be adopted. The main part of that, I mean, there's other components, main parts, the financial aspects of it that was in the.
So we need a motion?
So we need a motion for the city to approve the plan for Beresford Tax Increment District number 4.
Shot makes a motion to approve the plan for Bach Housing Development Tax Increments Financing TIF review as Attorney Tom Freeberg stated.
Second. A motion and second on the table to approve the tax increment plan for Beresford Tax Increment District number 4. Any further discussion?
If we approve this, can you still modify it like we've been talking?
You can do modifications to it, yes.
Okay, so if you determine we can add the streets into that.
Yeah, I'd have to look at that because I gotta see where our boundaries were.
Just about, doesn't affect, don't affect our timing on this grant though. We got a lot of stuff there that has to be done in a short period of time, and if we have to modify that, they don't like it. Because we gotta have a ton of stuff done here next month and a half.
Well, I think that'd be separate from the grant though.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, because the grant isn't here whether we have a tip or not.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Fifth review approved. Next item on the agenda, request for donations. Looks like I started something.
So Jerry and I are starting to get approached quite often about donations. And we're just looking for some direction because we don't want to say yes or no.
We don't want to try to determine who's should get it rather than the other guy, I guess it's so.
Yeah, I think this is a concern in our community because if you're a small business owner that is open and willing to support local groups, whether they be religious, whether they be sports or otherwise, those that obviously have done it in the past, the reward for good work is more work. And so they're beat up pretty often and there's no way for them to forecast how much or how often they're going to be equipped. You know, Jeff is phenomenal with Olson's East Hardware, but based on his location and based on his notoriety through his community, he's approached often. Cities in the same boat. I think there's something we could do to connect all the people in town that would be on the working end of a request for donations. Because I think if there's someone circulating through the community that's an official representative of our community, it's different than, you know, if there's an individual that's going to, you know, a competition. That's different than a team or, you know, a member of the community or a group from the community. So, you know, I think what Kayla was asking for Chamber of Commerce. This is for the Easter Bunny Hunt, right? That was the deal.
And this this could not, I mean, could go to someone who's not from Beresford.
Yeah. And the cost of an out-of-town family pass is
$125,
125.
$135. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So the question is, people are coming to you to see if they can do a fundraiser, if it's okay? Or
No, they're asking for us to donate.
for the city to make a donation?
Yes.
Okay.
You know,
So we're looking for guidance.
Don't we have a policy in place and we review those in the fall for drawdown?
We do, yeah. So, but these are all the little small ones that everyone's coming in now.
So maybe something
we
less
just think it's
formal
gonna
than a
continue
subsidy,
on.
right? 'Cause you're thinking of subsidies,
Once
right?
everyone finds out about it, now it's just.
You're thinking of subsidies, right? When we do
Yeah.
subsidy drawdown requests, those are more formal, and they come in at a singular time.
Mhm.
These would be less formal, perhaps less dollar amount.
Yeah, but haven't we in the past kind of made a comment the last 2 or 3 years about a budget somewhere between 75 and under? Can't we just have a dollar amount and that's it for the year?
Well, that's what you do it when you do your budget every year. These are coming in now because, yeah, we've got pools that are opening. We're gonna do some, somebody wants something at the golf course, they're gonna say, why can't we just give out a membership at the golf course and all this stuff? And we just, Eileen and I don't want to have any part of that because
That's a
we
lot
don't
of
want
work.
a person that's trying to determine who's better than the other guy.
Right, that's
Who's
a lot
the
of
best
work, though.
fundraiser.
It's a can of worms once you open it.
Yeah.
Every time, yeah, it won't take long. One person tells another.
I mean, if we were going in that direction, I think it would be appropriate for the council to say, of that supplemental appropriation would make that we set aside some for as a rainy day fund, but it still doesn't solve the problem. So.
I'm just looking for guidelines of what. What do we do?
Yeah, but you can only do so much.
It'd be easy to say we'll do all of them,
Yeah.
but yeah, pretty soon you're gonna be, Lane's gonna be, we'll have checks going in every which way, you can imagine.
Well, when you're not handing out your own money, it's the taxpayers' money and
Absolutely.
so.
So, I'll take it on to develop a draft policy. And then we'll factor that into, so we'll review and approve a draft policy in the near term. It kind of specifies who we support and who we don't. I would say for the remainder of this fiscal year, we say we're good. What is it? So at Beresford Tel, I know they sponsor some things. Does Austin have a policy or a procedure or? Because he sponsors Frostbite 4 and a few others sponsor some.
I know he does the Frostbite 4, but I don't know if he has a policy. I'm
Like
not
the
familiar.
gaming group,
Yeah.
right?
And he's on the YouTube, Watchdog Live.
Yeah, right.
What is it, does that come out of advertising?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So we don't have any advertising budget, no. So I'll develop a draft policy. Kind of come up with some markers on each side on what it looks like, what's included, what's in scope, what's out of scope. And then perhaps we set a dollar amount that would be reasonable that we can approve at during the next budgetary cycle.
I wonder if there's something you might want to consider, and that would be, like Mike said, I mean, that's, you're into a can of worms. Is there some other asset that we could offer? And I'm not sure if that would be something on the community calendar or an announcement, or if that would be cumbersome to, add something to help spread the word about their fundraiser, because outside of that, our hands are tied.
Mhm.
I'm not, if you think something like that might fit in there, Eli, consider that.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the past, we could say no. We could say that if we endorse our
Yes.
ability to donate is to
In the
endorse.
past, we have said no.
Yeah,
I guess you gotta ask, is there gonna be a difference between a fundraiser versus just a donation? Cause this is not a fundraiser thing. This is just the chamber putting on an Easter egg hunt, I'm assuming. And they want that to be one of the big prizes maybe or something.
Yeah.
Will pass, but, so we'll have to determine whether they're two different things or it's the same thing.
but no, I think the goal would be to get you guys out of the crosshairs of.
It's a lot
Oops.
easier to look at a policy and just say,
Yeah.
this is what it reads.
Pretty sure a policy
They're
that's
pretty good at saying no for quite a few years, haven't we?
Yeah,
It'll take long before one finds out.
well, in the meantime, The chamber is looking for me to respond. Do you,
We're already in for the bridges.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did give them the bridges at a reduced cost,
It
so.
is.
and I can
Yeah.
simply state that, yes.
Yeah, you made a comment about that one time a year deal, they do it free, so I think we
Well,
already
we,
made a
as a
decision.
chamber member, one of the reasons we realized we could host the meeting was that because as a member,
Right, right,
we host one meeting. So that's our contribution to the group.
I'd rather just cut it off for the year, you already gave the one, and Elaine don't have time for that. You gotta figure the other stuff out. She's a busy woman.
So, no.
Thank you.
All right. So next item on the agenda, step pay increase for Officer Kyle Kleinschmidt from $27.94 an hour to $27.94 an hour, effective 3/19/25.
Shall I make a motion to step pay increase for Kyle Kleinschmidt to $27.94 effective 3/19/25.
Second.
Motion second on the table to authorize Kyle Kleinschmidt's pay raise. Step pay increase. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? All right, next item is authorizing a step pay increase for Mr. Tony Harris from 27.96 effective 3/19/25.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion second for authorization of step pay increase for Mr. Tony Harris, 27.96 effective 3/19/25. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Beresford Senior Citizen Subsidy Drawdown Request.
And this is the budgeted amount for 2025.
This is the, say it again?
This is the budgeted amount for
Okay.
2025.
The budgeted amount, okay. All right,
In the amount,
6,000.
shall I make a motion, just to let you know, a member of the senior center, that's not gonna affect.
I don't have any financial
No.
stake in it, so.
No, okay, shall I make a motion for the Beresford Senior Citizen Subsidy Drawdown Request for 6,000?
Motion second on the table to authorize the Beresford Senior Citizen Subsidy Drawdown Request in the amount of $6,000. Any further discussion?
I just want to make a comment that Joanne and Darla said they really were happy. The refrigerators were going in and out, and they got rid of those, so now the milk's not spoiling. The VFW said thank you. And they used about almost 5,000 of it for those two refrigerators and freezers. They bought an extra heavy duty commercial kind with stainless steel, and they really appreciate the support. Thank you.
Wouldn't be able to make pancakes without it.
They go, well, you saw them, they look pretty nice.
Any further discussion?
Is good.
All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Beresford Chamber of Commerce Subsidy Drawdown Request.
This also is the budgeted amount of $3,500 for 2025.
So,
All right, motion second on the table to authorize the Chamber of Commerce Subsidy Drawdown Request, 3,500. Any further discussion? There's a chamber mixer on Friday, so please endorse that. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Seasonal hire Bridges Clubhouse.
Ben has got 3 people, 2 of them worked for us last year. Derek Moss would be at $12.46 an hour, and Mike Wetstein is at $13.25 an hour. And he would like to bring on Elizabeth Parks as a bartender server at $11.50 an hour. And Mike works outside maintenance. Derek, what does he do?
So he's a cart attendant, but he
Yeah.
also helps with the event center
Yeah,
setting
puts
up.
the event center together and helps with that. Okay. So if you could make a motion for all 3 of those at one time, that would be great.
shall I make a motion, seasonal hires for Bridges Clubhouse, as Jerry Steinman stated on the pay and the position. As of right away.
Yeah, they just work for it when they can.
Yep.
Second. Motion second on the table to authorize seasonal hires for the Bridges Clubhouse. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Next item on the agenda is authorizing advertising for a rebel site attendance.
Cotton has indicated he'd like to kind of cut back and eventually retire completely from the rebel site. He's still in the health, and in the past, we've all had a tough time finding somebody. So hopefully we get a couple people that want to do it. We'd probably all, if they both share responsibilities, that would give them some weekends off, especially in the summertime. A lot of these guys don't want to work 5 days a week in the summer and have to work on a Saturday. They got things to do. So we're hoping to find a couple more people that we can just put on the list and then work them all in. So if you're okay, we'll just go ahead and offer, just need a motion to authorize advertising for that position.
Motion to authorize advertising for the rebel site attendant.
Second.
Motion second on the table, to authorize advertising for rebel site attendance. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Consider offering free dumping for Beresford residents at the rebel site in April.
And it's the same as we've always done, same type of items. We charge for certain things, and a lot of the stuff you can just dump out there for nothing. So gives us a chance to clean it up. And then years ago, we used to try to send our guys out for a period of about 2 to 3 weeks, and when they're getting busy and stuff, and it just doesn't work real good. We've been trying to get things going for the year, so we would prefer to do it, just to have everyone have free dumping from Beresford citizens only.
Shall make a motion, consider offering free dumping for Beresford residents at the rebel site in April 2025, as Jerry Simon stated.
Second. The entire month of April.
Jerry?
Yeah, all April, yeah, all the way through.
All right, motion second on the table to authorize free dumping for Beresford residents at the rebel site in the month of April. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The next line item, last line item, new business, summer hours at the rebel site starting 1 April.
That doesn't require a motion. We always start around the 1st of April, just depending on if it's a Tuesday or not, but I think looks like the 1st is a Tuesday, so that'll be the first full week that we're open out there, so.
All right, moving on to information items. South Dakota Department of Ag and Natural Resources recognizes City of Beresford Public Works.
That's just for you guys to take a look at. We'll publish that in the paper. Well, we are not.
We're gonna do a
They
Facebook
charged us
post.
last time, put it in
News
there.
release,
Yeah.
yeah. Last year we did a Facebook post, but
Yeah.
had some good response to it, so we will recognize them on social.
Take a nice picture of them.
Yep.
So perfect.
And this is how many years in a row? They've done a great job.
Okay, next item, line item on the agenda is travel request.
Shall make a motion for travel request, District 3 annual meeting, Delaware Rapids, March 26, Sealy, Tiedemann, Johnson, Simons, and MRES annual meeting, Sioux Falls, May 7th, 8th, Anderson.
Second.
Motion second on the table to approve the travel request. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Motion that we pay the bills.
Bills.
Second.
Motion second to pay the bills. All those in favor say aye. Any further business for the council? All right, hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.